Ethan's father worked double shifts at an old steel plant. His mother cleaned rooms at a roadside motel. They earned just enough to survive, but never enough to live. Poverty didn't just live in their house, it lived in their conversations, their silence, their bills, and even in the sound of their footsteps. But Ethan was different. Most children in Riverton grew up believing success belonged only to people they saw on TV. But Ethan believed success belonged to anyone who could imagine it strongly enough. In the small, forgotten town of Riverton, Ohio, where the winter wind sounded like broken dreams and the factory smoke painted the sky gray, a boy named Ethan Carter was born in a tiny wooden house near the riverbank. At the age of 7, while other kids collected toys, Ethan collected ideas. He would sit under the giant oak tree behind his house, his secret classroom of dreams. The tree was older than the town itself, and its roots were deep, just like the thoughts growing inside Ethan's mind. One afternoon, a school teacher asked the class, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Some said firefighter, some said mechanic, some said shop owner, but Ethan stood up with shining eyes and said, "I will build something that changes the world. I will be a billionaire." The classroom laughed, even the chalk seemed to pause. But the teacher noticed something unusual. Ethan didn't say it like a wish, he said it like a decision. The first lesson of big thinking. Ethan's mother once told him softly while stitching his torn school bag, "Son, dreams are free, but the journey is expensive." Ethan replied, "Then I'll pay for it with belief until I earn it with reality." That day, Ethan unknowingly unlocked the first law of big thinking. You don't need money to start big. You need a mind that refuses to stay small. Growing up with empty pockets but full vision. Ethan didn't have a laptop, but he borrowed books from the library. He didn't have mentors, but he studied biographies. His heroes were people like Henry Ford, Elon Musk, the Wright brothers, and Steve Jobs. These were men who saw the future before the world believed it existed. He loved aviation too. The sky fascinated him, just like your interest in becoming a pilot. But more than flying planes, Ethan wanted to design the future of flight itself. When Ethan was 12, his father lost his job after the steel plant shut down. They had their darkest night. No electricity, no dinner. Just cold silence and uncertainty. That night, Ethan whispered to himself under the moonlight, "If this town can't hold my dream, I'll build a dream bigger than this town." The spark that changed everything. At 15, Ethan discovered something: computers, not as a luxury, but as a portal. He saw that a computer wasn't just a machine, it was a tool that could scale dreams globally. He started repairing old computers for neighbors. People paid him $5, $10, sometimes just a sandwich. But he never complained, because Ethan wasn't collecting money, he was collecting confidence, skill, and momentum. By 17, he had saved $300. Not much for the world, but enough for Ethan to take his next leap. He bought a second-hand laptop and internet data, and for the first time, Ethan entered the digital universe, where big thinking had no boundaries. Building the first step toward his big dream, Ethan launched a small online service, designing posters and thumbnails for YouTube creators. His first client was a local teenager. Ethan earned $20. That $20 felt like a medal because it proved something powerful. Big dreams start paying you the moment you start working on them. He scaled his hustle. Soon he earned $1,000 in 3 months, then $5,000, then $20,000 before graduation. Ethan applied for college, but chose one far away, MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. His parents were shocked. "We can't afford MIT," his father said. Ethan smiled and replied, "That's why scholarships exist for people who think bigger than their bank account." And he earned a full scholarship. The struggle was still there, but his thinking was bigger. MIT was tough. Students came from wealthy backgrounds with polished skills. Ethan came with patched shoes, borrowed confidence, and a dream sharper than a sword. He faced rejection, sleepless nights, self-doubt, and loneliness. But Every time he felt small, he returned to the words he wrote on the first page of his notebook: think big, act bigger. He studied computer science, engineering, and aerospace tech because his goal was no longer just to escape poverty. His goal was to build something the world would call impossible. The big idea that became his turning point. During his final year, Ethan created a prototype of an AI-powered navigation system for aircraft that could predict turbulence, reduce fuel costs, and improve pilot decision-making. Professors doubted it at first. Investors ignored him at first. But then, one day, a major aerospace company noticed the concept. Ethan didn't panic. He didn't beg. He presented boldly and said, "This will redefine aviation. I don't want a salary. I want partnership." That sentence shocked the investors because most poor boys ask for opportunity. Ethan asked for ownership. Success began chasing his thinking. At 22, Ethan signed his first partnership deal. At 24, his technology was adopted by 3 airlines. At 27, 40 airlines. At 30, 200 airlines. By 32, Ethan Carter officially became a billionaire. News channels came to Riverton, Ohio, the town that once laughed at him. Reporters asked his mother how she felt. She said proudly, "He didn't change his life because he had resources. He changed his life because he had a vision that acted like one." Ethan's final message to the world. Ethan returned to the oak tree where his dream began. The tree was still there, silently witnessing his journey. He placed his hand on its bark and whispered, "Big thinking doesn't guarantee easy success. It guarantees a life that refuses to fail quietly." He later said in an interview, "I was born poor, but I was never born small."